Hey, welcome back to the Grey State's Attorney Resolve. We're back to follow up the case featuring Brock Van Zieks being accused of murder. We're going to follow up on some revelations from the last part of this trial. Oh, there you are, Odo. What kept you, my dear fellow? Hello, Mr. Sholmes, Gina. You sure about what you said in there? That the boss, you know, actually died the day before. It's pretty hard to swallow. Yes, I was shocked by the revelation too, Gina. As was I. Possibly more shocking both of you. It's not a competition, Mr. Sholmes. I'm more shocked than all of you, and I'm the one who said it. This is autopsy report in question, is it? Yes. It's strange that there's no time of death noted. I suppose there's a simple explanation, or perhaps it was a deliberate omission. Oh dear. If it was deliberate, it puts me in mind of the last case we worked on, and Dr. Scythe. I know. Anyway, it seems that on the day before Lord Van Zieks discovered his body, Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, so perhaps something happened with them. Come to think of it, you had trouble with those League men too, didn't you, Mr. Sholmes? You were taken in by their trick. No. Naturally, I wasn't taken in, as he put it. My sleuth-hound interest was merely piqued slightly by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. And that scent masked the underlying scent of deception, I suppose. The two criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? In Mr. Sholmes' suite, I mean. That's right, Suze. And it was me what took him in. Thanks to a tip-up by a good law-abiding citizen. Indeed. Yours truly. Something doesn't quite make sense to me, though. The day before Inspector Gregson was found, you hadn't had trouble with the Red-Headed League yet, had you? Why would the Inspector have been investigating them? Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuth-hound interest was piqued by the rare scent of weekly £4 income. Don't tongue with the same brush as you, Sholmes. Yes, well. Then there's the whole issue of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Van Zieks for some reason. The Reaper, the Red-Headed League, Inspector Gregson, Lord Van Zieks, and Cosima. It feels though he knew we'd arrive at this point somehow. Gosh, I think you're right. All the answers shall soon be revealed. Reserve the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly. Yes, you're right. Are you ready then, Mr. Sato? Yes. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearing of Brock Van Zieks, here present who stands accused of murder. Now then, Prosecutor Osogi. My lord. Have you summoned the witnesses as requested? Yes. The two members of the Red-Headed League who planned and carried out the deception. They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage. Very good. Bailiff ushered the two men into the courtroom. That's a lot of spaghetti. These two men are currently being held by the police on suspicion of attempted extortion. You may admit your occupations, but state your names now for the court. I am Fabian de Rousseau, a descendant of the great Rousseau family from Nice, in France.
My name is Peppino de Rossi. I'm the third son of the great Camillo de Rossi, the landlords of Napoli.
The two men first became acquainted at a boarding school from European nobility. Those who graduate from them seek out the future leaders of Europe. But do you have any idea how boring it is to be born with noble blood? Alois. I make it my mission to get the better of the world by employing the little grey cells of my brain. That is all I am trying to do, huh? So, that's the only reason for this whole grand deception you've been carrying out? Oui, you could say that.
Not bad, eh? It's the grand ideas, but the petty plans. This combination is at the charm of the hilarious brothers. See, couple?
Listen to me, Peppino. I have two things to say to you.
Eh? Are you able to tell me what your grand anecdotes? Viva!
Firstly, I want you to stop calling me this couple. And secondly, we are not the hilarious brothers. This is serious business.
Di bello! There it is. The couple's the jumper card. The furrowed brow. It is deep, couple. The furrow, and the meaning of your words.
The court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from unsuspecting members of the public. This is true?
Oui, c'est ça.
And what exactly was the nature of this deception by which you plan to defraud? Alas, I would explain it.
No, capo. Give it to me. As you see, we will have the very red hair, no? At school, we were teased for this without pity. The capo here, he was many times behind the schoolhouse, crying at the very fountain. Well, those dogs, once they so well to suspect us redheads. Every night we would bury his head in the pillow and weep for the injustice.
C'est bien, Peppino. Enough. I will explain the rest. The first step was the newspaper advertisement. About 1 week before the plan was put into operation, we listed the same notice in every paper in London. Yes, you saw that notice. It was this one, I believe, entitled To the Red-Headed League. Oui, c'est ça. I am honest that you have seen it. It states that the only condition for joining the league is having flame-colored hair, and that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted into the league, you can receive a weekly income of £4. On the date specified, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at the park specified in the advertisement, and from each person present this pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. And receive money to France. It was a plan most elegant, non? No, it was most dishonorable. But to be frank, I'm stunned anyone is foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick. The park was described by one witness as choked with red-headed folk like a coster's orange barrow. And the day on which all these men gathered to apply was the day before the victim was discovered. Crucially, these two men spoke face to face with every single person present that day. Oui, I have seen more red-headed people in one day than I will see in the rest of my life.
See, See? And now, every time I see the couple's hair, I feel sick to my stomach.
Anyway, why have we been summoned here today? Sorry? The date for our trial was not until tomorrow, I was told. Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial. They've only been shown this photograph. Very good. So, Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court on the subject of the gentleman pictured in this photograph. Of course. We are always ready to help with the law. We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assemble at the park on Lime Street Saturday.
But I don't recall the man in this photograph. Aye, couple?
No, I don't remember him. Obviously, he is dead now, but I assure you, he was not in the park.
Allora, this victim has nothing to do with us.
You have a lot to answer for, Pepino. It is your fault that she got caught in the first place. You've given sworn testimony that this man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain? Oui. I am quite certain. We did not interview this man.
Nobody looking like this came to the park. This I can promise.
It must be noted that you have been arrested for a grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurances.
Oof. With this attitude, we get to nowhere, huh?
This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard. It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated the day before the incident. It reads, Lime Street, Red-Headed League, on the cover.
Huh? I have the answer. Maybe there was another similar event at the park on the day in question, eh?
This is ridiculous. Very well. The defense may proceed with the cross-examination now. Yes, my lord. Let me check out their profiles. No, can't do that yet. So we're definitely trying to prove that he was there in the park, since he was investigating them. And we still haven't addressed this yet. This case is gonna take a while. But we only have your word for that.
See, but what can we do, huh? Oof. You're not having much of fun these days. As you are arrested, then you are shown the horrible picture of a dead man. And now you question every single thing we say. We are the victims here. Hey, couple.
No, you were caught carrying out a plot to swindle hundreds of innocent people.
You had to bring that up, eh? It's not fair. Hey, couple?
What do you mean by that?
Couple, you promised not to say, hey couple?
After we are taking all the money that day, we should have left the country. That was my plan. I left purchasing those tickets for the ferry to Dunkirk to my companion here. But he bought them for the wrong day. Oops.
See, what is an easy mistake to make, huh? First, the 1st, the 31st.
Oh, I have no sympathy for you. You're an old day late for the wolf because of your stupidity. It's only because of this that the so great red-headed detective called us.
Couple, you know what I think? This is the work of God. It's a holy punishment, eh?
Peppino forces last time. This is not only punishment. This is only your fault. Don't make God for your unholy mistakes. You are making me sick with the anger.
Maybe I make a mistake, huh? But when it's time to eat at the pasta, no one is a pasta.
Maybe I should put Italian stereotypes as a content warning. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, if it wasn't the Inspector's diary, it seems likely that he must have gone to Lime Street that day. And yet, these two both claimed they didn't see him. I have to say, they don't appear to be telling lies. Well, they are experts in deception, don't forget. Sounding plausible is their specialty. Maybe lying seeming to avoid being implicated in this case as well. Well, if they were truly experts in deception, they wouldn't have been caught. It seems to me like we need more information. Definitely. More pressing.
Hold it!
1,000 people? That's a very big crowd. It was quite a spectacle. Deadheads that come from all over the capital.
See, the couple here. Just the mismo animale, eh? Nobody else could attract so many people. If I could be born again, I would be the couple.
All those people wanted was the money, Peppino. It's £4 per week. Are you suggesting that you spoke personally with all 1,000 applicants? Oui, ça faisait. Because every one of them paid us 5 shillings.
Take out the names and we take out the money. We take out the addresses as well. And I tell them we take out some days to let them know by a post. E finito. Maybe 2 minutes a person. We start early in the morning and we stop late in the night.
So, you had 5,000 shillings in one day? Who would have thought there were 1,000 such gullible redheads in London to start with?
Hold it!
He doesn't look at all familiar.
No, I don't think so. And this is a way, guy. You're trying to trick us. I do not like the people who are trying to trick the other people.
Says the con artist. Yet between them, they interviewed 1,000 people with red hair. It would be unreasonable to expect them to remember every face.
Oh no, senor. I may be small, but my memory is very large. I never forget a thing. In my opinion, I do not think this man was in the park. Hey couple, you didn't see a man like this, huh?
Hold it!
But according to what you said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day. Oui, that's true. My eyes were burning by the end of the day. Surely then you can't actually remember every single face. How are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present?
Normally the red hair is very distinctive, right? But not when you have 1,000 red hairs scouting around. Then it's just an eyesore. But if there was some other information you could have given us, please, then we will recall.
Such is not still lying, Peppino. Remember, we do not remember him. We are sure of that fact, though. There was a man with a red hairpiece, but his mustache does not match the color. Then I do not think I could have forgotten him. What's gonna help me? I really want to see what the fish and chips gonna say. I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. But what if I told you that the man was always munching on a packet of fish and chips? Do you remember a man who was eating incessantly? Not really. I was looking only at the heads of the applicants. I wouldn't have noticed the fish and chips anymore since the caviar and smoked salmon.
Or a spaghetti. I love it, the spaghetti.
Really? I had no idea. Listen again what you said before, Peppino.
See. Say it again and again.
Hold it!
They wouldn't have taken down their names, so I'm gonna try. What if I told you that the man's name was Gregson? The man in the photograph is a Monsieur Gregson. Yes.
Names. They are boring. I did not listen to any of them.
Oh.
It was not a real interview, huh? It was just for a show. How would I remember the names?
That's right. This changes nothing. The man in the photograph was not there, as the I've already said. Let's see. Hold on. It seems there's little to be gained from pursuing this point further. Okay, so it's profession.
Hold it!
I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. But what if I told you that the man in the red hairpiece was actually a detective? The man in the photograph? A detective? Yes. It would appear that he found your notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito. Sorry, but this changes nothing.
Eh?
I got his voice right. Oh, he's tiny. just a tiny little man.
Excuse me.
Something to add, Mr. DeRossi?
Yeah? See, I'm always adding something. Parmesan, olive oil, pepper.
What I mean is, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance?
Eh? What did you just say? About the detective?
Yes, that. If you're not shut, Peppino, you're said enough already.
But why, Capo? What is the problem? There was a man who said, I am an inspector from Scotland Yard.
What? Good lord. Order! I signed this. What the? If I send your testimony, witness.
It's simple. A man who was at the park said to us that he was an inspector.
There was no such man.
But what are you saying, Capo? Have you forgotten, eh?
I have forgotten nothing. Nobody likes this game to the park.
Basta, Capo, basta. You beat me at the many things, but not two. The memory and the meals. Like I said, when it's time to eat the pasta, no one is a pasta.
But you are inferior to me in every other way, so shut up.
Objection.
The double death slam. The damage is done. Indeed it is, sir. Wait, there was a man who came to the park and he said he was an expected from Scotland Yard. However, he looked nothing like the man in the photograph. He was someone else. How can you be so sure? Because, you saw this. His face was completely different.
Yeah, it's true, it's true. The man who came was younger. His face was clean shaven, his eyes were souter, his chin was thinner.
No resemblance whatsoever then. Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to him, if you are really a detective, show us the proof.
See, the capo here, he doesn't take a no-nonsense, eh?
Adios were prepared. He said he had an identification. Identification? You mean official police inspector's identifications? That is most unconvincing. Sorry, my lord? Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It's quite out of the question. Definitely. Why would he expose his true identity? Really, the papers were fake.
See the capo, you're a genius. As we see in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize another, eh?
And what happened after he announced that he was a detective? He became very annoying. He said, "You're under investigation." I took his papers from him and chased him out of the park.
He was fantastico! And look, here's the identification.
So you stole it from the man?
He had it coming. He was very scared. But he was not who said he was.
Indeed. The person described does not appear to have behaved as a true inspector would. However, I believe it would be prudent for these identification papers to be entered into evidence.
But I like them.
Now, let us return to the witness's testimony. What do we have here? Do you even know what a real one looks like, Naruto? So maybe someone stole from him after they killed him. I think that's it. Is this enough evidence?
Objection!
I wonder if I could ask you to examine this identification book very closely. Miss Lestrade. Why Miss Lestrade? What's your intention here, Counsel? Is this really a fake, or is it genuine? That's the question. Which we can't answer ourselves.
Objection!
Don't be ridiculous. No Scotland Yard detective will allow his or her identification to be stolen over their dead body.
That is the boss's. No question about it.
It can't be. As I suspected. The undercover detective who attended the Red-Headed Beak's enrollment on the day in question was the real Inspector Gregson, carrying out an incognito investigation. Sutalos! Or that could be the other theory, sure. Water! Water!
But if the boss had his identification stolen, he would have reported straight away. I mean, he was always on me about it. If you lose some, report it once, he'd say.
Could it be then that the inspector was physically unable to report it?
Physically? Eh? What are you saying?
Unable to. You're not suggesting. Yes. It's quite possible that he was killed before he had the chance to report his identification stolen. No. Order! 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 The defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered, at a different location. Do you two have anything to say about that?
I know nothing. I don't know nothing.
Pull yourself together, Peppino. Come on, dude, you can behave a little more like a master criminal than that, no?
I wish I had opportunity to Italia.
Just stop crying, Peppino, please. Otherwise,
Stop it one and start talking.
Well, I believe the court will need to hear your story and consider it.
I know nothing. I know nothing.
But you will tell everything, or face the worst possible outcome. You will dry your eyes and testify again about these identification papers and the precise circumstances under which you came by them. The truth is, we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case.
We took the men's identification from him and shot him in the room next to ours.
There might have been a little tussle, but we didn't know harm, and the next morning we let them go.
We spent the night in a nice room. It was nothing like the prison, really.
This is outrageous. You imprisoned the man?
But no, see, no. He was not like at the prison. He was very comfortable and calm and happy. Hey, couple?
It was never part of my plan. I swear it.
Oof, so, do you think it wasn't my fault, eh? It's just I got the date of the fairy wrong by one little day.
I do not think it was your fault, Peppino. I know it.
No, por favor, Capo. It's not fair.
You should have plenty of time for squabbling back at the prison, gentlemen. Oof, I don't believe this. How could you have been a real detective? Counsel for defense, proceed with the cross-examination. Yeah, still just start from the beginning.
Hold it!
Do you realize what you're saying? You have to believe me, I never intended for that to happen. And I'm sure this detective did not intend it either. Do you think? But there was nothing else I could do.
Hey, nothing else. This wasn't the first crime for the couple. It was at the end of his wits.
I have told you before, Peppino. This is not the way to describe a criminal mastermind. What about this hideout of yours? An old empty house behind the park on London Street.
We rented the place for 2 days. It was an inspired idea by the couple here.
An impulsive idea, I would say.
No, not impulsive. Inspired. Eh, couple?
What am I supposed to say to that, Peppino? It was in the house described that you can find Inspector Gregson, was it? Me. But you have to remember, I was under the impression that he was a pretender, not a real inspector. That doesn't quite add up, though. If you didn't think the man was a real inspector, there would have been no reason to take him prisoner, would there? No, you're right, but we couldn't be completely certain.
Hold it!
You're scared? Why? Because! Why has he come to the bar? We didn't know. There was a chance that he has seen through my fur.
And if that wasn't the case, he would go straight to the police station to blow the whistle on us. Even if he was just feigning to be an inspector, he was up to no good, huh? Without a doubt.
I think most people would agree that it's you two who were up to no good.
Well, see, you may be right. Eh, couple?
The point is, you were not able to escape from England immediately. That is why we had no choice but to take Simon prisoner. What I don't understand is, why the inspector felt the need to show his identification in the first place.
See, I asked myself the same question.
You're writing down the names and addresses of all the people who we took 5 shillings from that day. I've forgotten what name he said, but the address, it startled me.
See, address in your homicide division, he said.
What? He probably didn't like your face, Peppino. Anyway, I was not rude. I just politely asked him why he had said it. And that's when he started to say he was an inspector. Not long afterwards, he took out his identification. Tell the corp what happened next. You took him back to your hideout, you say?
See, we did that.
Hold it!
That being this identification book here, correct?
Hey, that is the one.
I really believed that it was a forgery.
I never seen the real one, of course. You're so suspicious, this man. Allora, I was thinking, it was also a couple.
Oui, it is just as Pepino has said. We were convinced it was not genuine.
And so together, the hilarious brothers, we took the man captive.
All we did was shove him inside a locked room. Then we made preparations to transport all the money. In for a penny, in for a pound.
Hold it!
What do you mean by a little tussle, exactly? Oh, it was nothing. Just a minor incident.
The boss of Inspector, he was a real piece of the work. A couple?
What happened?
Oof, it was a disaster. You gave him a nice room, and what does he do? In the middle of the night, he tries to escape to the ventilatore.
Ventilatore. Can you blame him? We chased him, Pinsu, and we caught him again.
Can you blame us?
Wait, you didn't. You the man in your haste, did you? So, what do you think we are? Of course not. So we got hold of him again, and took him back to the room.
Excuse me!
This is Rosie. Is something wrong?
Eh? Me?
Something Monsieur De Rosa just said seemed to make you, well, it seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What was that all about?
Carola, at times like that, you don't want to have the couple after you believe me. I speak up from a personal experience.
Personal experience? That is enough, Pepino. There's no need to say more.
The truth is, the night before we put the Red Edit League plan into action, I was scared. It was not fair to the couple, but I tried to run away.
It's a shame you didn't manage it.
But the couple here, he came after me like at the turbine, yeah? And he dragged me back to the house, kicking and screaming. I still have the bruises to prove it, eh, couple?
Bruises, you say?
You wanna see though? You wanna see my fantastical bruises?
That's enough now, Pepino. No one wants to look at any part of you. Don't be mean.
What to do, huh? I show you or I don't. I show you or I don't.
You do. Now.
Hello, if anyone wants to see it, then I do it. Echo, you see? It's very abusable, eh?
That red ring around your neck. You got that when you were dragged back to the house?
See, the couple sometimes he is very rough, and
I said that's enough. Pepino's neck is nothing to do with what you're talking about here. You have my word. Yes. What is your opinion, Council? Well, let me check my evidence and I'll get back to you. You know who did have a weird bruise on their neck? It's important. Mr. Dorsey, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck.
Right, couple? You see? Everyone is interested in what I say,
Very well. You amend your testimony as requested, Mr. Dorsey.
Please see, if you really want to know.
Sorry.
He tried to escape, but the couple put the collar on him and dragged him back, like what he did to me, see?
So using that evidence, we know that it wasn't the actual Inspector Gregson that they took prisoner.
Objection!
That's something, may I hold on? So the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito. No, it was not like that. He was hardly at prison. It was an invitation to stay. It was only. However you describe it, this one glaring inconsistency that remains. What inconsistency is this, Council? I would ask the court to look closely at this photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. You will see that there is no red ring visible on his neck.
Yeah? That makes no sense. It wasn't me who took the collar off the man in the morning. And I saw the red bruises on his neck, just like I have.
Even if the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we expect to see bruising on the victim who was put in the collar more recently than Mr. DeRossi. Indeed. That is most peculiar.
What do we tell you, huh? Huh? You say this from at the beginning. Many times.
Wait, Pepino was right. The man is the photograph. Is someone different to the man we had got this that night? Order! It would appear then that on the day before the incident, the man who visited the park on Lime Street posing as an incognito inspector was not Inspector Gregson at all.
Objection!
If that's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? This is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made that assertion itself.
And we also know that the inspector had made a note about the red-headed leak in his diary for that day. It surely means we can't divorce the two events completely.
Inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling. If he were the real Inspector Gregson whom these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies explanation. But equally, if they actually encountered an imposter, how did that person come to be in possession of the real Inspector's identification? Does the defense have some plausible explanation, Counsel?
It is precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes in the court record, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, those are the facts, and the facts cannot lie.
Well, my lord, the true identity of the person who turned up in the park for the red-headed league's enrollment is revealed by information in the court record, I believe. Good gracious. Very tantalizing, Mr. Naruhodo. So why don't you help us all to see whatever truth it is that you've apparently seen? Who exactly was an inspector that appeared before Mr. DeRosa and Mr. DeRossi? Imposter. Though it seems incredible, I admit, the undeniable facts point to only one thing. Since no bruising can be seen on the victim's neck, The person who these two red-headed men took prisoner that day cannot have been Inspector Gregson. In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time.
Objection!
On the contrary, I haven't finished. What? There's a bruising on the victim's neck. The question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification?
See, that's right. You tell the same story every time. Remember this man was? The couple dragged him from a villa to a post with a dog collar.
What do you think, Pino? That's not so harsh as you say, huh?
So who was it that the false inspector, eh? Who was he?
Clearly, the defense has an idea about that. About the true identity of the man these two imprisoned that night. I must ask what counsel for the defense to elaborate post-haste. Who did the witnesses encounter in the park posing as Inspector Gregson?
Take that!
Goodness speed. Isn't that one of the witnesses who was in the stand in this very courtroom earlier today? A nameless man. His only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay to passers-by.
Objection!
What on earth would a street seller be doing with the police inspector's identification papers? Wait, is this a man or not? What has happened to his lip? Huh?
Hey, this man is not for the red-headed league, eh? You're looking for the twisted lip league, no?
Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should bite your lip instead. It seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noticed something around the man's neck, a red ring of bruising. Eh? What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand. Order! Order! Bailiff! Bring the aforementioned witness back into the courtroom. Immediately. Well, I never. An undeniable ring of bruising indeed. And identical to the other witness beside him. Now what's going on here, eh? I've always had this, me. It's a birthmark, isn't it? A birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you. I am some about an inspector again. Content, you've got it all wrong as usual. You're denying all knowledge of it. Well, of course I am. Are you trying to give me all this nonsense, eh? Well, at least you'll have more stories to peddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. DeRosa and Mr. DeRossi. I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you? Do we have any choice?
You're in a big trouble, eh, couple?
That's quite enough dilatory chatter. See you at the testimony. The man who claims to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man.
He's right, see? I think we're gonna forget these grand lips, huh?
I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I'm not interested in a red-headed Lee. I'm all alone in the world, me. I'm no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? Just look at me, eh? Does it look like I could carry you off with a disguise with a face like this? I mean, fair, but you got that bruising from somewhere. It would certainly appear that we have the wrong man. What have I been telling you, huh? There's no need for this pointless testimony. That's right. I'm just a simple peddler, remember? Little Street's all I know. Or I'll come by a police inspector's identification book, eh? Well, yes, that's hard to explain, but... A brief cross-examination, I think, Counsel. Very brief.
A sensitive, vastly at your size as always, Mr. Naruhodo.
Hold it!
If you could, say, with a mustache? Or a way to cover up that lip. Perhaps. But I was gonna stick some fake facial hair on and cover up this fine specimen. I'd have looking like his lordship over there, wouldn't I? Pardon? I assure you my lips are entirely unremarkable. And I would ask you not to cast such scrutinizing looks in my direction, Counsel. Sorry, my lord.
Well, Inspector Gregson did wear a mustache, of course.
You're right, he did. So perhaps he was hiding something himself. He could barely have hidden a chrome in a mustache of that size. And anyway, this detective we spoke with had no facial hair at all.
See, the cowboy is right. He was a clean shaven.
It certainly seems beyond the realms of possibility that this witness could have disguised himself as the victim.
Aye, those them it is. What's your feeling, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, what Mr. Gossip says is undeniable. It would be all but impossible to hide those lips with any form of disguise.
Perhaps, yes. But nevertheless, the mark around his neck is equally undeniable. And it's identical to the one that Mr. DeRossi suffered.
Yes, that's true.
Hold it!
Well, yes, I imagine I'll forget those lips in a hurry either.
That is what I am saying. For some reason it makes me want to eat. How did Fabian call it? An eclair. You know, I've never seen it near as black as yours before either.
Likewise, I've never seen red hair like yours until I came to Britain.
See, maybe it's a national trait, huh? Maybe other people from the cement country have the grand lips.
No, lad, I was born right here on Fresno Street. and I never left.
Oof, that isn't the problem, see?
So you definitely didn't go to the park on 9th Street that day, Mr. Gossip? Now, how many times do you want me to say it, eh? What can I use as evidence?
Hold it!
So, you've heard of the Red-Headed League, had you? You didn't get a name like Gossip for nothing, eh? It's my business to know what's going off in town. I saw that tasty tip to a fair few redheads that came past me. It's a T-Nuss. You've got sandwich to cough up for it. Well, he does have a very red nose, if that counts. Who knows? But as you can see, all in here's not got a hint of red in it. And in any case, there's a street's my patch. You won't catch me setting off to some other part of town. No sir, not likely. Oh.
Excuse me!
Mr. DeRosso? Ooh. Ah, wait. Can I help you? Did Mr. Gossip's work just now lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps? It was the other day when I was looking for a place near the park. A small house or something. To be the headquarters of your Red-Headed League, yes. I visited an Nothing agent on Lime Street, and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent. What? Mr. Gossip was a housing agent? He had some kind of contract in his hand, and they were clearly discussing terms. No, you're mistaken, chum. I never left Fresno Street, B. Like I said before. He was taking me for someone else. So with the same face.
No, the guy was right. I remember the duel. He was paying the man with his banknotes.
With notes? Like I said, that wasn't me.
I was curious why this man with the dirty clothes had so much money. I looked at the name on the papers.
And what name was written? Mr. Gossip?
No, this man, he lies. He does he has no name. But in fact, his name is Hugh Boone, huh? It's better than Mr. Gossip, I think, see?
No! I'm a peddler of tidbits of information, like I said, on Fresno Street, and that's that. I don't much like folk talking about my personal life. Indeed. It is not the intention of the court to invade the privacy of witnesses. Very well, I shall respect your wishes, sir. The aforementioned names shall be redacted from all court records of this trial, assuming no objections.
Objection!
One objection. I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case. Good gracious, do you simply object, Prosecutor Sogi? As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings. Well, never. In what capacity?
Hugh Boone. The name of the leaseholder of the room.
Let me put this very simply. The victim's body was discovered in your rented room. I suggest, sir, that you start talking. Well, alright. I suppose that might be the case, So your real name is Hugh Boone? Well, that's between us. I'd like to blow me own trumpet, but there's no finer peddler of tidbits in town. Sad. I happen to be able to afford a good little room in a fallen down backstreet townhouse. You do? And once every 6 months, I go and pay the rent to the agent on Lime Street. I remember now. There were 2 vulgar redheads in there last time.
Eh? You know us is a vulgar, it's not the me.
Sink again, Bebino. Why didn't you bring this up before? It's like I told you already. I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a tidbit peddler as far as everyone else is concerned. No fuss. You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone. If I must. But the leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since the body was discovered. Has been here under our noses all along. I rent the room where that fellow was found, it's true. What difference it makes. It makes a lot of difference.
Hold it!
So, you live in that room, presumably, do you? No, I don't live there. What do you think? There's no bed, is there? Just a desk. Then, why would you want to rent it? Well, I don't think I should have to say, really. I think you should. Then how about the notice board in there? It is covered from top to bottom, confidential documents only the police should have access to. No, that board's not mine. The inspector must have brought it along. There's only other bits and bobs that belong to me. This and the chair and that. People don't generally carry enormous notice boards around with them. The real question is, why was Inspector Gregson killed in there, in your room? Well, obviously, I have not the faintest idea. I mean, it's causing me no end of bother, to be honest. Seems to me that Mr. Gossip, sorry, Mr. Boone, would rather as little is known about his room as possible for some reason. Yes, it does come across that way. And more importantly, knowing that the scene of the crime is actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that's really bothering me now.
Hold it!
You mean you have no family? Nope, none at all. That's my days on Fresno Street, peddling tidbits to passers-by. Hoping, just between us, this is, that eventually someone else with lips like mine will come along.
I don't think so.
You may be right. Anyway, the mark on your neck is just too much of a coincidence for us to ignore. Well, what's a fella to do then, eh? If you don't believe me, we're at an impasse. There's nothing I can do but flick my lip. Basically saying I got dressed up and posed as some fancy inspector, aren't you? Well, tell me how you think I could do that. Let's press everything.
Hold it!
So you say, but how can you be quite so certain? There's no need to let your hands on the desk, monsieur. Surely succeeding is obvious, no? Because I had never before seen lips like this. Nevertheless, there's a clear red mark around Mr. Boone's neck. It looks very much like that left behind in the neck of your colleague by your prize collar. Mon dieu, Monsieur West, it's like you tried to wring my neck.
It does look very much like a my neck though, eh?
No, this is a birthmark, lad. The biggest lips in London and neck to die for. And they broke the mold when they made me. Was the first time in my life? I feel lucky that I've been born this hair. So you maintain that you've never seen this man before? Oui, c'est ça. As witnessed by the flames of my hair.
Hold it!
Not getting anything. Okay, so where did the picture come from?
Objection!
If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why is it that among the sparse furnishings, you found this photograph in the room. Huh. I presume, as you've been renting the room, that this photograph belongs to you, is it not? Oh, well. Mr. Boone, drop the pretense, and tell the court exactly who you really are. Wait. I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler. I keep telling you so. You don't need to bother with me. Please, just leave it alone. As the man says, leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life, it has no bearing on this case. It is simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Gregson.
Objection!
How can you be so sure? Just look at the man. No amount of disguise could ever hide those unmissable features.
Objection!
But what if you were to look at this the other way around? What do you mean? Yes, so what do you mean? Well, it's not denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip is itself part of an elaborate disguise. Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? It's all coming together. With this, are you still hiding the truth from this court?
If that's a disguise, then underneath it, its true identity must be...
Yes, that's right. There's really only one person he could really be. My lord, the defense believes it can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court. No. Please, no. Very well then, Counsel. What is the true identity of this peddler who goes simply by the name of gossip on the street? Daily Vigil.
Take that!
Your real name is actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Mr. Daily Vigil. I don't recall that name, Counsel. Who's this Mr. Vigil? It's a name I encountered yesterday, my lord. It has to do with a certain client of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A young gentlewoman came to the detective asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact. This is Mrs. Vigil. From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. But of course, on that night, you were being held captive by the two red-headed League men. And last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial. Because we've been led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we needed to know where we could find you, of course. And that explains why you've not only been unable to return home, but also unable to contact your wife. She's been beside herself with worry, waiting for you at the Vigil residence. Now just you hold on a minute. You don't have to press it. What I'm talking about. Really? It's a simple enough manner to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise. No, please. Edith, bring soap, a sponge, and a washbowl at once. Mr. Rosa and Mr. DeRosa, you will strain the witness. Oui, my lord.
See, my lord.
No, stop. Get off, please. Don't. Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume. Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. It has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witnesses, tell the court. We've seen this man before. I don't believe it, but...
See, there's no question. Is it the inspector we saw in the park?
Extraordinary. On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, the man claiming to be Inspector Gregson who appeared before Mr. DeRosa and Mr. DeRossi in the park was you, disguised as the Inspector. Or rather, was you posing as the Inspector in no disguise at all? Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the Chief Warder at Barclay Prison. The Chief Warder? Then your career had promise. Why would you quite possibly have become the future governor? You would quite possibly have become the future governor of the prison. What on earth have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle on Fresno Street? Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years? I'm really dreadfully sorry about all of this. Yes, it's true. I am Daily Vigil. And you were the Chief Warder at Barclay Prison 10 years ago. So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented. Well, there's a great deal under the surface here. I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become. As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment as Barclay's Chief Warder came to an end. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. But times were hard in London, and I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Fresno Street. But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you are the Chief Warder at Barclay Prison. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings. This is why I've never told her. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Fresno Street. The scene of the very crime we're investigating. Yes, that's right. A place from which I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler. And transform myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine. I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room. That explains it. But why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons. And without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them. So instead you decided to conceal your occupation from them? Yes. I made such a terrible mess of everything. Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece, you couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as Chief Warder at the prison. Very true. To cut your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment. That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson. What? Inspector Gregson? What on earth? It was some years after I invented Boone and begun my other life as a street seller. The inspector, that is, recognized me one day. You mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours? I knew him from my time working at the prison. When he saw what I'd become, it was deeply trouble for me and my family. And from that day forward, he visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity. Then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him. A secret? What was it? I was to impersonate the inspector. What? Impersonate him? We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me. Visit Oxley's tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietors. There's always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people. On those occasions, it would then be his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially. A Scotland Inspector willingly relinquished his identification into your care with intent to deceive? As I'm sure I need not point out, it's a very serious criminal offense. But why? What was the point of you impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if, well, if I end up a croaker. In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well. It became something of a second office for him. So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really... Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my boon disguise, and then went as instructed to the park, armed with the inspector's identification book. It never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case. Explain yourself, Prosecutor Asogi. A learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered. At the hands of these two red-headed elite men when they imprisoned the inspector. But no, that can't be. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day, it was me. Oh, goodness. Finally, we have clarity. He had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Defense, for proving it. Oh. Order! 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 It would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. These witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim. As proven somewhat ironically by the defense. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination.
Hold it!
Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness. Kazuma? More question, counsel. It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time. 10 years ago? to know exactly what your involvement was. Oh. Answer me, man. One moment, Counsel. Is this related to the current case? Right? Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. Does the defense concur, Counsel?
Oh, Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. His official's memories of what happened 10 years ago. We'll tell a tale of Genshin Asogi's last moments. Don't bother.
I know. I do understand that. Prosecutor Asogi, do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Rexon's death? I need you to trust me, please. Very well. And the defense has no objection. I see. In that case, you'll answer the question, witness. The truth is, I remember very little of that time. You've forgotten? I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy.
Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry?
Well, 10 years is a long time. But to have forgotten the reason why you left such an important job.
Yes, you're right. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. Sorry? The human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface. How far has psychology gotten in like the early 1900s? And when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't.
Kazuma-sama.
But if it must be crushed, then so be it. Because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out one way or the other. Yes, you're gonna present evidence. That's what this game's about. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events.
Take that!
Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, yes. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition. Well, yes, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No? No, I don't. This is a dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment. A dismissal notice. And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? What? It's mine? So you didn't resign from the prison service at all? For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barclay. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This isn't. No, this is nonsense. Isn't it? You were forcibly dismissed. There must have been good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on the 17th of June 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison. The 17th. June. What was that? The professor's execution? Professor? As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you wouldn't have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, the execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave. Convict, back to life. In a cemetery in the middle of the night. He was a witness.
However, the witness gang said a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave. Gunshot rang out from over his shoulder. And the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments.
Yes. Yes. Being as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on the 17th of June 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up. Mr. Vigil? Yes, the whole prison. It was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barclay like a hurricane. What? Order! Order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned? In my head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, screams.
Oh my goodness.
The papers. There are reports, articles, about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yes, in October. But surely those reports were exaggerated. There were traces at the scene.
Traces of what?
In Millgate Cemetery, at plot number 139. Blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there. The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering. I reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigating team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting the prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom? Yes. Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murder to execution as a way to help him escape. He did what? I remember now. The horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, the detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower. I'm sorry, dearly. This is a serious business. But can I help you now? As chief warder, you're responsible for overseeing the execution of all, eh? Well, since the fellows at Scotland Yard want to have a few words with you about it, you better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person. As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew, Order! Thither! Fetch the doctor at once! Was adjourned for today with immediate effect. Oh shit, we killed him.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day. Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
We're getting closer. But that's all the time we have for now. We'll have to pick this up next time.